Welcome to Lighten Up TV, enlightening, inspiring, and empowering humanity. This is a journey of self-discovery. On this journey, we are in search of answers to the burning questions that have intrigued mankind for millennia. Who are we? Where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? By merging scientific discoveries with spiritual revelations, we will explore the possibility that mind and matter are one and the same in a vibratory field of pure consciousness. What if this eternally expanding field of consciousness is of and from the same source? These revelations, that we may actually share one mind in a unified field that expands into the cosmos, has the potential to cause a powerful shift in the collective consciousness. On our fascinating journey, we will explore ancient legends, modern discoveries, and emerging truths about the spiraling creative forces that spun this creation into being. From spirituality to religion, superstring theory to the Big Bang, from gods and goddesses to angels and aliens, we will dive into the mysteries of creation. Are you ready to lighten up?
Starring your host, Suzanne Ross, television personality and producer, inspirational author and speaker. She is a 5D truth seeker and spiritual pioneer on the front lines, raising the frequency of humanity. Through her shows, books, and events, she has dedicated her life to activating the matrix for global ascension.
Lighten Up TV proudly presents investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe.
Hello and welcome to LightenUpTV.net. I am your host, Suzanne Ross, and it is such a pleasure to be here today with Linda Moulton Howe. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and Linda is a world-renowned investigative journalist with Earth Files, as many of you know, as well as being a regular on Ancient Aliens. So what we're going to explore today are a few topics that really intertwine, and one of them is AI. Another one is the astral realm. And so this is a really interesting discussion. And I'd like to start with this concept that Barbara Hanclow and I have discussed a few times, and it has to do with our Earth being surrounded, or maybe like you said, the universe being wrapped in this sort of astral realm. Now, Barbara talks about it being 4D. And so she shows it as actually a canopy over 3D. And then those 3D souls who are evolving or seeking ascension, if you will, they have to go through that astral realm in order to progress to a higher dimensional experience of the reality. And in that transitional realm, it's the realm of angels and demons, where you have extremes in the contrasts.
Right.
And so it's similar to what you were talking about. So can you tell us about how you learned about this sort of physics that sort of show the energetics around all this?
It started with that bismuth, magnesium, zinc material that I got back in 1996 when Art Bell and I on Coast and on Dreamland. We started receiving letters. He identified himself as an Army sergeant, said his grandfather in the 47, 48, 49 period had been in Roswell, was assigned to a security team, that they were bringing a craft that glowed for 3 hours of light, and here is the part, allegedly all of the information was handwritten in a diary by the grandfather, and the grandson is giving us copies in letters. it never explains how the grandfather managed to take from the bottom of where it was glowing pieces. But that's the story, that we ended up with this material that he says he pulled off. In fact, the word was appropriated, is the word that he used. Well, whatever actually happened, just knowing it's historic, this is what it's supposed to have been the source. When I started trying to find out what is it, going to the University of Michigan, they are doing energy dispersive and all kinds of analyses of what is it made of, electron microscope, looking at the nanotechnology of it, did all of that. Went to an exotic metals manufacturer back east, asked, can you tell me if anybody is producing these specs? 1 to 4 microns pure bismuth. I learned that in an isotopic ratio test at Carnegie Institute in Washington. You can't get any finer testing than that. 1 to 4 microns pure bismuth, and then alternating like a torte cake. The next was 100 to 200 microns of 97.6% magnesium, 2.4% zinc, and the magnesium tested at Carnegie as it was 11% more magnesium 26 than normal on the Earth, but not outside enough to say that it was extraterrestrial. All of that as background, jumping then from 1996 to 2016, this is 2 years ago, I ended up in a discussion with a physicist introduced to me by another scientist. The physicist said that he had worked at Area 51 for 7 years and that he had sheets 6 feet long of pure bismuth and magnesium zinc, knew all about my efforts to try to find some explanation. And he said, Linda, this is what covered the outside skin of the wedge-shaped craft that came down in a variety of places. And he said, I worked on it for a long time and came to understand that it was the outside skin of an interior skin. The interior skin would have been an aluminum mono-iridium combination with a lot of fiber optics in between. And he said, the operation of those elements under a certain field, a frequency field generated by the craft, all gravity of that craft in that latitude, longitude, space-time coordinate in this planet, gravity would disappear. It doesn't mean that gravity changes for us. It means that the craft, and this is the way he explained it, once that's turned on, you could blow with your breath on that craft and it would move. That the aerodynamic physics of the craft that are so mind-blowing to pilots and everybody else is because it's the material that allows the complete getting rid of gravity. So hold on to that as a concept. So I am sitting there thinking it has taken 96 to 2016 for me to be sitting with somebody who seems to really know what they're talking about when it comes to this bismuth magnesium. Then to my surprise, he said, another area that I was working on while he's studying and doing the physics has to do with blocking natural magnetic field collapses between our matter universe and the dimension, this is his words, the dimension that encases this matter universe. And he said it's what people have always called the astral plane, but I was studying what's in it, what's dangerous, and how does the United States government block that which is dangerous from coming in here. I never heard anybody who was a physicist talk like this. So we went into I ended up recording 5 hours. And you know what is odd? I've been exposed to a lot of difficult things like animal mutilations. They don't scare me. I think that the more you learn in any subject, the better you are, the stronger you get. My own personal conviction is that every human being on this planet needs to get stronger. And that one way we can get stronger is for everybody to start sharing real truth. So listening to this physicist speaking to me sort of in that context, Linda, you need to understand this. It has made me start thinking about every word from Rosicrucian to Sumerian to Sigils, the angel Michael, the Beelzebub. Why is all of that confusing drama in the ancient history of this planet? I confess it never made any sense to me. Now, a physicist in 2016 is saying that this was part of his hard, pragmatic physics work, in which he was also working on bismuth, magnesium, zinc, that covered a spacecraft that was designed by something non-human with agendas in our planet. But he also is helping the government learn how to block and access. The governments would like to be able to block the energies from the astral plane, but they want to go into the astral plane to try to understand what is, and you had the word, what is the demon energy in the astral plane and why. How many people would take the word demon in the 21st century as something that existed in the universe? It's in science fiction. It's in horror movies. Oh no, it can't be real. Are the gargoyles in Notre Dame, are they an absolute photograph in stone of some of the things in the astral plane? And if so, why did the Catholic and the Christian churches have knowledge at all to put gargoyles? Why did the Far East? Why have they done all of those spires that go up, and you ask somebody who lives in Thailand or in Vietnam, and they will say, this is to fend off the dark and dangerous energies. Suddenly, all of the old ancient literature that I never thought was really that serious is now becoming as fascinating to me as trying to understand what type of non-human intelligence is actually interacting with our planet, has for centuries. What is its relationship to the casting of demons and angels? Black versus white, the yin and the yang. Where did that come from initially? And one man who puts this in the biggest box possible is physicist Tom Campbell. He worked for Army Intel, had a long career with the government, came out of his exposure and his work working for Army Intel, but also was one of the designers that helped Robert Monroe build the hemisync technology for going out of body. That all combined, his Army intelligence work, the Robert Monroe out of body, he ends up now at this stage in his life where he has written 3 books, The Theory of Everything. And he is Tom Campbell, who introduced the idea that we are in a universe that is an entropy reduction trainer for souls. And that entropy, that word that most people don't deal with in their everyday life, the truth is, entropy defines this particular universe. It is hard to believe that we are concerned about birth, life, and death. I would like an immortality pill. I would like to see how it all keeps going. But this is a universe in which even the suns and the stars die. So everything is winding down to a 0 point in this universe. But to me, What all of this does is make you back up and look wider, and you say, if this is one universe, and the physicists are already doing papers in Nature and Science about the likelihood that we are in an infinite number of universes, each universe encased in many, nobody can fill in that number, many dimensions. Sort of like a bunch of Russian dolls.
Yes.
And each one is a universe, but each one you can unpack and unpack.
Mm-hmm.
There could be universes where there is no entropy.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no entropy, there is no death. Are those heavens? Is that what the real, true cosmic structure is? And that somehow souls can wind themselves in and out. Entropy universes gets them into anti-entropy universes. That they come back into entropy, and there is some sort of a recycling, like what? The infinity sign does
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
The infinity sign has no block, no stop. And if the ultimate goal of everything is that all the souls would choose over infinity to go back to the divine field, that may be what this is all about.
Yes. There's a lot of discussion about the 0 point field, right? And it's really the field of quantum consciousness, where we can mentally project into the astral realm and beyond, into other dimensional realities. Certainly, right? And so I have a question, being somewhat of a conspiracy theorist, about this idea that the US government is wanting to understand how to prevent demons from entering our dimension. Or are they also possibly a group trying to prevent angels from entering our third dimensional reality? Because as I understand it, the astral realm is really the realm of angels and demons. And it also has been called the realm of the choice. And so it is the realm possibly where the soul does make a choice, and the soul says, am I going to look at the darkness and demons, or am I going to look at the light and the angels? And so then the soul creates their own reality, in which their reality either consists of demons or angels. And I do believe we are in a consensus reality as a collective consciousness. And so collectively we do have a choice about how we mentally manifest this outcome, right? Of whether it becomes AI, whether it becomes, controlled by demons or demonic energy, right? Or whether collectively we ascend into a higher reality that is angelic and, through the quantum 0 point field.
Isn't the key intent?
Yes, very good.
It's what you focus
Yes.
your mind and your thoughts on. And for some reason, I just don't feel we're teaching. Humanity really isn't teaching. It's what you focus on.
Yes, where
And that is what
attention
you get.
goes, energy flows, right? Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And it could be the individual level, it could be the group, the whole earth, and that there are certain destinies, and the destinies become the resonant frequencies to all of these decisions on this earth or an individual. And I think in talking with the physicist, I think we got into this subject matter. And I asked him, I said, have you been exposed to anything that is, at the moment of death, you could have a room of 100 people. Everybody dies at exactly the same microsecond. And every one of those 100 people would be at 100 different dimensions, not in the same, because each would have had a different accumulation of right and wrong, good and not, and so forth. And whatever their resonant frequency was, their sum total that's the dimension they would go to. And to my surprise, he'd already thought about it. And he basically said, I really do think, Linda, that the reincarnative cycle mechanism is based on resonant frequencies in other dimensions that resonate with the soul in a way that at the moment of death, the soul will go to that resonant frequency. That's something else we're not being taught. And that part of right now, this revolutionary fever, whether what's going to happen with artificial intelligence, what's going to happen with North and South Korea, are we actually going to explode any more bombs on this planet that we're told tear into the electromagnetic membrane that separates this universe from the dimension next door? Would we willfully and consciously, there would be people in this government that would know, you set off an atomic bomb, a hydrogen bomb, you take the chance of having unbelievably awful things come in. All of that I have the impression, like the physicists, that the government at some level knows a lot of this, and all of us, the citizens, we are kept dumb and blind still. It is that discrepancy between those that have power and greed, and they have the most knowledge. And we are the ones that are struggling for any insight about what is the truth. At the moment of death, where are they going to go?
Yeah, isn't that the truth? It looks like we need to wrap up our interview, but just one last thought is that maybe we don't have to wait until the moment of death in order to resonate with a higher dimensional reality that while we're still in these bodies, we can ascend into. And so it's really, I feel an opportunity for those of us who are spiritually inspired, those of us who are becoming more enlightened with all of this knowledge, to really resonate with that higher frequency. And so that's how we can ascend while still in our bodies.
Well, you know how this part of your head vibrates
Yes.
when you do a certain meditation. And then it makes it real that there is a connection between our soul and something.
Yes.
That there is a link. And yet, I understand that everybody would like to be in a universe where there's no death and we can stay with people we love and animals that we love, and that everything is constantly evolving wonderfully and perfectly. And it is the nirvana dream. But it seems that we are denied that here. We are denied that ability to go on forever in perfection. This seems to constantly be that which keeps changing to stress and challenge. And that's why it's possible that Tom Campbell, the physicist, is right. That it is a trainer.
Yes.
And the trainer is for souls.
Yes.
And it's trying to reduce the winding down of energy.
And in maybe a higher dimension, there's a centropy
reality. If you can hook up through that vibration on your head in this universe, I think that is like proving
yes,
this isn't all there is. And that if you do make and try to make decisions that are positive for other souls and yours, then somehow that link means you will go on, just not in the same container.
yes, yes. You defy entropy, you move into centropy.
That way. That's right. That's
Thank you so much. That's a good note to end on, dearest Linda. You're such a blessing to us all.
are.
Thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Lighten Up. And remember, live well, love life. Thank you.
Oh, that was great. Made me feel good.
Please stay tuned for more exciting discussions with global thought leaders on Lighten Up TV.